If you suspect your dog is ill, we need to look at the dog's physical state and if there are any behavioural changes. AnimalWised provides you with these basic signs to look out for if you think your dog is sick. It should be easy to notice if your dog is defecating more than usual. Since you should be taking them out for walks, constipation should be evident if they don't go. You should also be able to see the consistency of their stool, with diarrhea being important since it implies dehydration. A sick dog may also experience symptoms related to drinking water. In general, the normal amount of water a dog drinks a day is 100 milliliters for each pound of the animal's weight. If you notice excessive thirst or lack thereof, it is essential to seek veterinary help. Behavioural changes are also symptoms of a sick dog. If they stop doing things they did before, like waiting at the door, asking for a walk, wanting to play or getting on the sofa for example, know that these can also be signs the dog is not well. If the dog follows a balanced diet and eats the same amount, both putting on or losing weight are warning signs of a health problem. The coat of a dog is an important indicator of overall health. A sick dog may have noticeable signs of a poor coat in terms of lacking colour, shedding excessively, or lacking in vibrancy. If you note these changes, take them to a vet for diagnosis. The body temperature of dogs can vary between 38.5 to 39.4 degrees Celsius, much higher than that of humans. Puppies tend to have a higher body temperature than adults. The only way to know if a dog has a fever is to take a temperature, usually with a rectal thermometer. Dogs are very sensitive animals which can easily perceive whether we are happy, sad, or even just tired. Fortunately, they are also very loving creatures and their affection and company can come in very handy during these times. However, often we humans are not as good at reciprocating this sensitivity. In this AnimalWised video, we discuss depression in dogs, looking at the most characteristic symptoms and providing some tips to help improve their happiness. As with human beings, canines are susceptible to depression. They may not be caused by the same issues, but if we are aware of our dog's habitual behaviour, we should be able to easily identify a bout of depression, whether short or prolonged. However, if a dog has only recently been adopted into our family, it may be difficult to differentiate between their normal demeanour and depression. The most recognisable symptoms include a lack of appetite, apathy, inactivity, and a lack of affection towards their caregivers. We may also observe hiding, sleeping excessively, or an unwillingness to engage in play activity. However, it is essential to point out that some of these signs may be present thanks to an underlying condition or disease. This is why it is so important to take them to a vet to rule out a physical health problem. Causes of depression in dogs are varied, but they usually appear after a significant change to their routine, a traumatic experience, hormonal changes, or, as we have said, disease. Determining this underlying cause is essential in solving the behavioural problem. The death of a loved one or the introduction of a new family member, such as a baby, are common causes of depression in dogs, but there are many possible issues at play. When depression generates a clinical picture which puts the dog's health at risk, it will be essential to go to a veterinarian, preferably one specialised in ethology. If they also show behavioural changes which involve aggression, going to a professional dog trainer or educator will be essential, as the situation can worsen and become dangerous. If your dog is going through an episode of sadness or depression, do not hesitate to follow our advice to improve their well-being. Offer between 3 and 4 quality walks a day where they can smell their environment and interact with other dogs. Don't forget the physical exercise and play before going home. Spending time with your dog doesn't mean being by their side without doing anything. It requires quality time, speaking to them, petting, and generally offering a lot of love and affection. Mental stimulation is as important as physical exercise, so in your day-to-day, you shouldn't neglect basic obedience training, mental stimulation exercises, and intelligence toys. Calling toys are one which are particularly good for this. Food is a basic element of care, but it is easy to underestimate its importance. Provide quality food, perhaps experimenting with homemade options, and maintain hygiene through cleaning and brushing. If after a few days your dog is still depressed, you will need to visit a veterinarian specialised in ethology to obtain a diagnosis and assess whether the administration of drugs or behaviour modification sessions are necessary. Accepting the death of a loved one is not easy, even if it is something all living beings will have to go through at some point. When living with an old dog or a dog exhibiting some unusual symptoms,
It's normal to think about the possibility of death so that we may be best prepared for the worst. Therefore, in this video from AnimalWised, we bring you the 5 most common symptoms which indicate a dog is going to die, so that we know what to do if the worst does happen. Before we start, however, we recommend bringing your dog to the vet if you see any unusual symptoms. This is in case there is still something able to be done to bring the animal back to health. With the passage of time, older dogs will reduce their level of physical activity and even stop wanting to go out for walks as often as before. This change can help us if we suspect something may be happening to our pet and motivate us to take them for a checkup at the veterinarian. Once there, a specialist can tell us if the dog is suffering from a serious problem which is leading to them to avoid going outside. They can also tell us whether it can be treated. Sick animals, or those close to death, carry out abnormal behaviours which can help identify if they are in a bad condition. For this reason, it's important to take a look at behavioural problems related to their mood, such as displaying more fear, aggression, or abnormal movements when they walk. It's also possible we might observe incontinence, vomiting, diarrhea, or other physical disorders. Dehydration, excessive panting, or abnormal temperature can tell us that something is wrong. To know how to identify these signs, we'll explain what are the vital signs of a healthy dog. Their body temperature should be around 38 to 39 degrees Celsius, or 100 to 102 degrees Fahrenheit. Their respiratory rate should be somewhere around 10 to 30 breaths per minute. The resting heart rate of a healthy dog is between 90 and 140 beats per minute in small dogs, 70 to 110 beats per minute in medium dogs, and 60 to 90 beats per minute in large dogs. The capillary refill time can be recorded by lightly pressing the mucous membranes of the dog. Then you need to analyse how long it takes for them to return to their normal colour. Generally, pressure is applied to the gums and the recovery time is measured. It should be no less than 2 seconds. If we see any alteration in the healthy vital signs of our dog, we must take them to the vet to determine any underlying conditions. When a dog begins to refuse any type of food, especially their favourite, it means there is something amiss. It may also be that they stop drinking water, so we'll need to find ways to keep them hydrated. As a consequence of a lack of food and water, we will observe the dog vomiting bile as they will not have anything in their stomach. After this, their organs will begin to fail, causing pain, rejection of companionship, and/or discomfort. If you observe your dog becoming lethargic and moving towards a secluded corner of your home or garden, along with the aforementioned symptoms, it's likely they are close to death. This is a very delicate moment. Therefore, we advise finding a comfortable place to rest or making their chosen spot more comfortable. It's important they don't feel alone. In light of your dog exhibiting the above signs, it's best to contact a veterinarian quickly. Only a specialist will be able to determine whether or not your dog is near the end or there's another reason behind these symptoms. Also, the specialist has gone through this before. They'll be able to help you come to the right decision in terms of care options. It's important to remember that in some cases, such as if the dog is suffering from a lot of pain, assessing the option of euthanasia is humane, especially if it might alleviate this suffering. If the vet believes this is not the best decision, they should be able to offer your dog the best care to end their lives with dignity, surrounded by loved ones. It may be necessary to help them eat, drink, and even relieve themselves. The death of a dog is one of the most painful and sad moments for any pet owner. One tough decision is deciding what to do with the body of the animal. If the dog has died in a veterinary clinic, then the specialist will probably advise incinerating the body of the dog. This will be one either in private or with the bodies of other deceased dogs. If your dog dies at home, you can call the vet to follow the same process. Alternatively, you can call an animal funeral home or even bury it in your own property to stay close to your home as well as your heart. At some point, ensure you unsubscribe your dog from the animal registry of your country. Is it possible to overcome the death of an animal? It can be a long process which requires time and acceptance after a reasonable period of mourning. Although many people may not be able to understand it, dogs and humans can create a strong bond, making their loss a painful one. We can't tell you how to overcome this process, since every individual grieves in their own way. What we can say is that once you're ready to have another animal with you, adopting a dog which really needs some love can help you both.